Welcome. All right, let's take a virtual stroll through one of Florence's most famous and, let's be honest, beautiful squares, Piazza Santa Maria Novella. Now, at first glance, it is the absolute picture of Renaissance perfection, but as we're about to find out, this piazza is a bit of a magician. It's got some incredible secrets hiding in plain sight. I mean, just look at it. You've got that stunning church facade, the elegant open space. You can just feel that sense of perfect balance and harmony. It's everything you think of when you picture Renaissance Florence. It's like the city's grand open-air living room, just inviting you to come in. But what if I told you that perfect harmony you're seeing is basically a lie? Yep, it's a masterfully crafted illusion, a trick of the eye that's been fooling pretty much everyone for centuries. And to really get the secret, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. So the first clue to this whole deception isn't in what you see, but in why the square is even here. You see, it wasn't designed for quiet little walks. Oh no, it was built for spectacle, for big crowds, and for a whole lot of noise. Okay, so picture this. It's way back in 1287. The Dominican friars at the Santa Maria Novella convent are so popular that the crowds flocking to hear them preach are just enormous. The old space couldn't handle it, so they started knocking down houses to create this huge public area, basically a natural amphitheater for faith. And with all this new, vast open space, well, you can't just let it sit there, right? It quickly became the #1 spot for city festivals. And none were more spectacular than the Palio dei Cocchi, a crazy, high-octane chariot race started by none other than Duke Cosimo I de' Medici. Just try to imagine it. These sleek carriages, pretty much Renaissance-era chariots, are thundering around the square, whipping around these incredibly tight turns. It was the absolute height of Florentine entertainment, a tradition that was meant to connect the city's power all the way back to the glory days of ancient Rome. And this brings us to those two massive obelisks that totally dominate the square today. They are not just decorations, they're basically the ghosts of that race. At first, they were just simple wooden posts to mark the turns, but the Palio was such a big deal that in 1608, they were remade in marble, forever stamping the piazza's identity as a racetrack. But the piazza wasn't all about thrilling, chaotic races. It was also a place of divine, perfect order. And to see that, all we have to do is look at its architectural heart, the incredible facade of the basilica. It's like a textbook example of Renaissance genius. I mean, look at that perfect geometry, the clean lines, the sense that everything is based on math and divine order. It's calm, it's rational, and it is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. But here's the thing. The architect, Alberti, had a huge challenge. The bottom part of the facade was already built in a completely different Gothic style. His job was to finish it. Now, instead of just tearing it down, he performed what is basically an act of architectural magic. He designed a top section that didn't just sit on the old part, but actually harmonized with it, creating one unified masterpiece. And this quote from him really just sums up his whole philosophy. He believed in innovating, sure, but also in respecting what came before. This facade is that idea made real. It's a dialogue between two different centuries brought together by one visionary mind. Okay, so we've seen the thrilling chaos of the races and the perfect harmony of the church. But now we're at the piazza's biggest secret. The real magic isn't in the stones of the facade, it's in the empty space between all the buildings. It's right here that an incredible optical trick is being played on you. When you stand in the piazza, everything just feels right. The buildings seem to line up, the angles feel correct. Your brain immediately registers a regular, almost rectangular space that perfectly frames the church. It feels so orderly, so planned, so symmetrical. It feels right, doesn't it? Like a classic, well-designed Renaissance square. That's what your senses are telling you anyway. But they are wrong, totally wrong. This is the truth. On a map, Piazza Santa Maria Novella is a chaotic, completely irregular shape. It has 5 sides, and not a single one is parallel to another. The angles are all over the place. It's a geometric mess. So how is that possible? Well, the secret is all about what you can't see. Because of how the streets lead into the square, you can only ever see 3 of its 5 sides at any one time. The other sides are always hidden behind you. And since your brain can't see the full chaotic picture, it just corrects the scene, forcing a sense of perfect order, where in reality, there's none. This piazza has always been a place of transformation. And believe me, that story did not end in the Renaissance. So let's bring it right into the modern era and see how this space keeps evolving and sparking brand new conversations. For a long time, this was a busy transportation hub. You literally had tram tracks clattering right across the middle of it. It was only in the 1980s that it started to become the pedestrian-friendly space we know today, with a huge redesign happening in the 2000s. And that redesign included these new minimalist benches. They're actually inscribed with a beautiful quote from Leon Battista Alberti himself, which ironically reads, "Architecture is the temple where the soul should be filled with joyful wonder." Joyful wonder might not be the phrase most people would use to describe them now. What you see on the left was the sleek, intended design. On the right? Well, that's the reality after just a few years of Florentine weather. Warped wood, shattered glass, not so great. The complaints have been pretty widespread. Functionally, they're kind of a disaster. The steel gets incredibly hot in the summer, and the other materials just haven't held up. And from an aesthetic point of view, many argue their placement just slices right across the historical sightlines, disrupting the very harmony the piazza is so famous for. And this really highlights a constant challenge in a city like Florence. On the left, you've got the 1930s train station, which is a modernist masterpiece. Most people agree it integrates beautifully with the ancient church behind it. And on the right, you have the benches, a much more, let's say, controversial attempt to add a modern touch. So, you see, the Piazza Santa Maria Novella isn't just a beautiful space. It's a living question. It's been a stage for faith, a racetrack for spectacle, a masterpiece of illusion, and now a modern battleground for design. It's a constant reminder that the story of a city is never finished, and it's always asking us, how do we add our own chapter without erasing the ones that came before?